Let me mention this to you. Why we must pray for sick people. When someone is sick or in pains, many times it's very difficult to even have faith. Many times it's difficult because of the distracting pains, the distracting situation. And that's why they need intercession. That's why they need our prayer. Because someone can be suffering terrible pains while you are exhorting him about faith, and while he's waiting to be healed. But the pain can destroy his faith. I don't know if you ever suffered pains in your life, but when you're in pain, even when you're praying and speaking the word, when it gets more intense, it tends to take your attention off your prayer. So what do? You have to intercede for people who are sick, who are in pains, who are in trouble. Are you hearing me? One of the things that we also need to recognize about our prayer life is that this is man's world. And if God is going to do something in man's world, he needs man's invitation. You say, how's that? Well, let me give you an example or an illustration. When you build a house and you are the landlord, all right? That's what they call it. Landlord, all right? Okay. Then you give it over to a tenant to live in or to work. Once the deal is made, the contract is signed, even though you're the landlord, even though you built the house, you just can't come anymore into the house at will. You just can't come knocking at the door and say, well, I'm the landlord, I want to see the bedroom. You can't do that. The house belongs to you, yes, but there is a legal occupant that presently has authority in the house. That's what God did with us in the world. Prayer doesn't really change God. You understand? God is always willing to help us. He's always willing to do for us whatever is necessary to give us the advantage, and also for his own glory. Always he wants to do what is right for us. But sometimes we are in such spiritual positioning that we don't receive that which is rightfully ours. And then also, when we want to prevail over circumstances, there are things that we must do. When we pray, we find ourselves rightly positioned. And then when we intercede for others, we also make it possible for things to change to their advantage. One of the things that we also need to recognize about our prayer life is that this is man's world. And if God is going to do something in man's world, he needs man's invitation. You say, how's that? Well, let me give you an example or an illustration. When you build a house and you are the landlord, all right? That's what they call it. Landlord, all right? Okay. Then you give it over to a tenant to live in or to work. Once the deal is made, the contract is signed, even though you're the landlord, even though you built the house, you just can't come anymore into the house at will. You just can't come knocking at the door and say, well, I'm the landlord, I want to see the bedroom. You can't do that. The house belongs to you, yes, but there is a legal occupant that presently has authority in the house. That's what God did with us in the world. He said, let us make man in our image, in our likeness. He said, let them have dominion. Let them have the authority over the earth and over everything that moves on the earth. So, he gave the authority to men. That's why Jesus said men ought always to pray. They have to pray. They have to invite God into their situation. Because even though the world is his, he doesn't just get into their situation as he chooses. He needs their permission. He needs their invitation. So he just can't kick the devil out and replace him. The book of Romans. We will begin reading from chapter 15. Romans chapter 15. Last night we got to talking about Esther and how that she made up her mind to go into the king and talk to him about the plight of the Jews. And she called for prayer. She called for prayer, and she wanted everybody to pray for her. She said, I want you all to fast and pray. I'm going to the king, and if I perish, I perish. She was determined. And there are a few things to learn from there. I believe that many of us should observe from the Word of God. She wanted to do something daring, and she asked the Jews, she said, pray for me. I'm going to the king. It's a risk, but I'm going to take it. She said, pray for me.
Hello guys, I believe you're well imparted by Pastor Chris' message. This channel is not just a YouTube channel. It is a channel where believers come together to experience spiritual growth and guidance, as well as to improve your prayer life with Pastor Chris' inspiring messages. Please do well to subscribe and like this video. Thanks for watching.